as worship team members, we have to hold the worship team with open hands and not handcuffs. That it is a gift, and there will be someday where we get to pass the gift on to somebody else. If we're not able to do that, then we have failed our church. And so that's just my constant mindset is, what am I doing right now that somebody else knows how to do it? And if somebody else doesn't know how to do it, then that needs to be my job right now. And so you're gonna have to be okay with having some Sundays that are just base hit Sundays.
Yeah.
Instead of home run Sundays, right? Because when you develop, Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and those are base hits and base hits and base hits, right? It's going to be so much better than having Sundays that just tank, and then Easter or Christmas Eve comes around and it's a home run service, right? And your teams burn out. They don't want to come back the next Sunday. Their families now hate you because you had all these extra rehearsals and they weren't able to do their Christmas party, all this other stuff. So when we have base hit after base hit after base hit, we're going to win some games.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to develop some other people. They got to get more at-bats. Our role as ministry leaders is to equip the saints to do the work of ministry.
Right.
And if we're not doing that, we're failing them.
Hey friends, welcome back to the BoxCast podcast. I'm Gary, your community manager here, and it is amazing to see you. It's been a beautiful day here in Ohio, and we're on site today at First Baptist Church in Greenhills out in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I've got our very special friend, Matt Miller with WorshipTeamCoach. What's up, man? Hey,
man. Good to see you. Thanks for the invitation. Thanks for coming down, dude.
Yeah,
absolutely. For all this, I'm really excited. I know it's been in the works for a while that we're actually on site, in our church. So this is great, and just happy to be a part of the program again.
Absolutely, man. Thank you. Well, I appreciate you coming back in, and your church is beautiful. Thank you for inviting us, too.
Yeah, we're really blessed.
We're very excited. Stay tuned to watch anything that you see coming out from BoxCast in the future here regarding content, because what we're going to be doing is doing a tech tour of Matt's church and all the crazy things that he does and all the crazy ways he does it, and how cool that is. And maybe this will talk to you, one of our church members or one of our users will be able to see that, and they'll be able to use that to your advantage. So maybe some cool things will come out of that. But this will be a really awesome opportunity to talk with Matt. And we're going to talk a little bit about WorshipTeamCoach today, and we're going to highlight WorshipTeamCoach in this episode. I want to talk more about that. So Matt, it's been about 8 months since we've chatted. Yes. Tell me, man, what's going on with WorshipTeamCoach? What's happened?
Yeah, I mean, we are really blessed. I mean, we've been able to help out a lot of other churches. We've done some on-site visits, which has been great because, we're kind of done with COVID, but it's just that's a new thing to get back in the habit of, and there's only so much you can do over a Zoom screen.
Oh yeah, for
coaching
sure.
with someone. So a lot more like group coaching, and we found that's been a great asset for churches that might not even have a full-time worship leader, worship pastor, whatever creative arts director title they have.
For sure.
They just have maybe somebody's just like part-time to just kind of make sure Sunday happens, right? And then they have a crew of volunteers that are faithful, but they just don't know what to do all the times in every scenario. So we've been flying out to the East Coast and down south and really kind of everywhere in the U.S. just to do on-site visits for maybe just a weekend and kind of like a boot camp of like, this is what we're going to focus on, and then kind of just doing some maintenance from there on of that. But the in-person stuff has really taken off. But then we still have for the people that are full-time worship pastors that have a crew, but they don't have any systems in place. Like that's where the one-on-one Zooms are really helping, because they're still making Sundays happen, but they just don't have a good onboarding process. They don't have a good team development process. It really revolves around them. If they're not there, they got to hire somebody out. Nobody from the team can really step up, and so that's what we're trying to duplicate them and make sure everybody's 3 deep.
That's cool, man. That's cool. And you can talk more about the 3 deep thing here in a minute, but that's pretty cool. So you're beginning to do more in-person consultations that then develop that relationship further in the church to help deepen that relationship between the worship team and if they had a pastor or they didn't have a worship. That's pretty cool. And so where's some of the last places you've been to? Like what part of the country?
Yeah, we were just in Dover, Delaware at the beginning of the year on that for an in-person. I got a couple just in Harrison, Ohio, just kind of next door to us as well. And that's a smaller church. It's really a plant. We got a congregation of about 50 people, and they have a handful of faithful, dedicated volunteers, and no one really on staff in that role. And so there's not like a leadership like issue there. It's just people just trying to do what they can do, but they just need a quarterback.
Yeah, they just need somebody to step in and help out.
And so we're gonna develop a quarterback within their team that they don't have to farm out from a recruiting company. Somebody that already has their church's DNA and shares that vision, and it already has kind of the support of the congregation from the platform. So that's what we're gonna do.
That's a good idea. Farm from within.
Yeah, absolutely. Raise them up. Yeah,
that's really cool, man. So cool. Well, and as you get to see more about what Matt does and hear about more about about what Matt does, you can also visit their website, WorshipTeamCoach.com, and everything's laid out on there. So it's a really cool website. You guys' website's well designed, by the way.
Man.
So Matt, I wanted to talk specifically today about some things that I read in one of your blog articles, and it really kind of honed down on me. And I was like, this seems really interesting. But you made mention in one of your blog articles that most worship teams don't have experts on their. Now you've got probably a couple really smooth criminals in there, right? Who really are good at what they do, but nobody's like leading. They're not the Mick Jaggers of the church, right? They're not just leading guitar and singing. But you talked about not everybody's an expert, whether it be guitar or vocalist, bassist, whatever it may be. But I wanted to get your take on this because I call this the leveraging of averages, and I think you did as well in the blog post. But what is the secret to leveling the whole team together versus waiting on that one person to arrive who might come on the scene as the rock star?
Yeah, and it's a blessing if you're at a church that has a lot of rock stars. In terms of just Sunday.
Right.
But if we're trying to think beyond Sunday morning and developing great people, you got to be more than a rock star. Because sometimes rock star can come in, but they're not a great team person. They don't have the chemistry. They got the craft, but they might not have the calling or the connection with the team. And so we firmly believe at Worship Team Coach that when you develop great people, you can't help but have great Sundays. And so we know that everybody has strengths. And so with Worship Team Coach, we try to find out where everybody's strengths are, because somebody's strength might be just steady Eddie rhythm acoustic, and they're playing country chords, and that's their thing. They don't give them a lead line to play. They're good. Give them a capo, and they'll do whatever you want for them on that. But then you might have somebody on a team that maybe is a background vocalist, right? Maybe they don't have like the voice quality to lead a whole song, right? But if they can sing, they can talk,
right?
And so we have them do a scripture moment, right? Or we have them pray at the end, because like my dream for every church that we work with is for me to walk into their Sunday morning gathering and really have to think about like who's on staff on the platform. Who is that, right? Because if I find out right away, I'm like, oh, clearly that's the guy, and it's one person singing 4 or 5 songs, they're the lead vocalist on all this stuff, and they're the one saying good morning and inviting the congregation to stand, and they're the one doing the closing prayer, and they're doing all the segues, then that's not a team.
No.
It's just, the front man and the backup band is what that is. And if we're supposed to be a worship team, then it should look like a team effort. And I firmly believe this, and this is kind of controversial for some people.
So watch out.
I firmly believe that your worship team should be a representation of your congregation. So if your congregation has more people that are above the age of 50, you should look like that on the platform, right? And I know there's some churches that want it. I heard this from a worship pastor a couple weeks ago. We were in a consultation, and he said, yeah, Matt, we just want to make sure we keep the stage looking young and fresh, is what he said to me. And I said, I got to respectfully disagree. I feel like your platform should look like your people. Right? And so if someone were to watch one of our live streams, they'll see that we have people of all ages and different races, that come here, and that people that are behind the scenes on the platform, a part of the team, that they're a part of the congregation, right? And so we really encourage everybody on our team to be part of a life group, so the congregation can understand that, oh yeah, they're not just platform people. They're us. They're our people. We're the same people on that. So we have people that are well into their 80s. Somebody that might need a stool. We have one guy that has a cane every single week, and then we have people in our 30s, and everywhere in between. So it's the representation of the congregation on that. And we're not looking for a specific image. We're just trying to be us.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
And so then everybody has specific skill sets. Like I said, they might be a great reader, or they might just be great in terms of platform presence. They might not be the best vocalist, but man, that they are worshiping on the platform. So how can we utilize that?
Yeah.
Right? And so just finding everybody's strengths so it looks like a complete team effort. And you still might have to have somebody that's facilitating and kind of like, traffic cop and like, yep, you're doing this, yep, you're doing, yep. But when we give people extra little at-bats, right? That extra scripture reading, that prayer moment, just that time to praise from the platform, not to give them like a highlight, because it's not about highlighting them.
Sure.
It's giving them an opportunity to lead.
Yeah.
Right? It shows the congregation that they are a team, and it's not just about whoever is on staff or that guy or that girl. So that's what we do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So when you go about that, like as a worship pastor, worship leader, as a director, whatever your title may be, what is one of the first things you would do to actually kind of pull that out? What is one of the first key things that you would do to kind of draw out that skill? Is it more of an observational moment? Are you putting them through like a litmus test? Or you giving them a Scantron and telling them to fill in the bubbles?
ABCD,
right.
We have what we call the worship leader role indicator sheet, right? And we have a leader version and a team member version. It's just language is a little different. It's the same thing. And we believe there are really 6 hats of worship ministry that a lot of times the worship leader or worship pastor, whatever title, they have to wear all 6 hats at all times.
Gotcha.
And that's from, music director to team shepherd to admin to, all the other hats. And so we give this assessment to the team and we find out that Abby really likes admin work. Why is she not running planning center? Right? Why is she not knowing when everybody's birthdays are? Those types of things, just like that are super important. And the worship leader might be able to do admin stuff, but that might not be what they love doing.
Right. Well, I mean, nobody really likes doing admin stuff. Let's be honest with ourselves.
This is something that I struggled with early on in ministry was kind of that team shepherd role. Because a lot of scenarios I've been 20, 30 years younger than some of the people on the team.
Right.
And sometimes that age gap can be hard to lead. But a lot of teams have that one person that you just know, like, oh, that's the team shepherd. And so then equipping them with like, hey, we're going to have you be in charge of the worship team devotionals, and then we're going to rotate who leads it. But we know that that's your calling, and you love doing that.
Right.
And like maybe me, I just need to focus on like music director stuff and like nuts and bolts, getting people trained up.
Right, fundamentals and all those things.
Just making things happen. And so, like I said, somebody might have that team shepherd hat, and then thinking about who else has skills in these areas that you just need to draw out, right? And so our team here knows that like they're going to get stretched, right? And a lot of times it'll almost be kind of like in the moment. Like we'll find out at rehearsal, they'll find out, oh, hey, here's your scripture verse that you're going to read between song 2 and song 3.
So you're doing a spontaneous.
Yes, right?
You're just bringing it out.
So everybody knows that when they're on the platform, they could be called on at any moment, right?
Nothing like getting called out on stage.
Yeah,
man.
and so, but we do it in a safe space at rehearsal.
Okay.
Right, so then they have 3 days or so to like prep for that, and especially for people who are praying, I don't give them a scripted thing, but I do tell them kind of what maybe the theme is or sermon series is, and they can relate it to that. But a lot of times we find that it's just their personal heart, and when they have an opportunity to say that from the platform, it's really impactful. Because me as a guy, I might not be able to relate with everybody in the congregation.
Sure.
But somebody who's maybe in their 50s and female and maybe a single mom.
Yeah.
Right? Maybe somebody who's been through some stuff, right? Like everybody, so we can relate with other people, giving them an opportunity of like, hey, we're all children of God here, right? And giving them an opportunity to speak and lead others. So that's how we do it.
So I want to touch base on that because you actually led right into my next thing that I wanted to ask you about. So you're at Worship Team Coach, you guys are really, really hard dedicated on systems and procedures.
Oh yeah.
Right? And so within that, could you just briefly touch, before you had mentioned that systems and procedures aren't meant to be something that hinders a worship team or a worship leader, but should be counted as an enhancment to the functionality of the team. You've said that, and I remember that clearly. But you stated in your blog, you stated that, actually, you stated it in your most recent email when you were talking about your guys' summer courses.
Oh, yeah.
Your guys' summer seminar series. But you mentioned that that practice is personal and rehearsal is relational.
Amen.
Elaborate on
preach it, brother.
So elaborate on your systems and procedures and how those relate.
Yeah, well, first of all, everybody has a system or a procedure. It's just not a good one, right? And so when someone says, well, I don't really have a system, it's like, well, you do. It's just a poor system right now, right? I mean, the way you brush your teeth is a system.
Well,
you
there's
do it
a lot
every
of
day,
poor
right?
systems.
That's everything. And so we renovate the systems that people operate with. And we believe there are 8 core systems that we use with our ministry systems. And I firmly believe that every people problem can be traced back to a system problem.
Okay.
Right? So let's say someone might have inherited somebody on the team, or somebody has a new person on the team. If we do not have a very specific onboarding process, it's going to be horrible for the team in the long run, right? Because it's so much easier to get somebody on a team than it is off a team.
Right.
And so your onboarding process should be very specific in that everybody knows what it is. And when someone comes up to somebody at the end of the service and says, hey, I'd like to join the worship team, everybody on the team needs to have this same language of like, that's great. We have an onboarding process for that. The first step in the process is, right? And whatever that might be for your team. We use a texting campaign service. And so when someone wants to join a team or has interest in joining the team, we have them text the word worship to this number, and then it kind of sends them our what to expect document and our vision and values and that type of thing. So so it doesn't have to. I haven't had to do anything else, right?
You've automated the process.
Absolutely, like the first few steps, yeah, for sure. Because when I can't get somebody to text the word worship to a number, that automatically tells me they're not going to show up on time. They're not going to be prepared.
So it's kind of like you're gatekeeping it. You're gating it a little bit to see what their interest really is.
Yeah, we're
vetting
trying
all
to
see
see
whether or not they're they're vetting process.
Yeah, I haven't heard them play or sing a note. I just know if they can send me a text or not.
That's good. Yeah. I like the fact that you said that. You're like, if you can't text me, you can't be on the worship team.
Yeah, that's the way. I mean,
essentially, if you can't communicate,
absolutely,
you can't be on the worship team.
Absolutely,
I like that.
Yeah, and.
This might be a challenge for some people.
Yeah, and like I said, we have people that are well into age, into their life, but they can still text,
right?
And I have paper copies of stuff if somebody absolutely still has a flip phone or something.
Does email does email work too?
Yeah, it absolutely does.
What about a letter?
Yeah, right. A carrier pigeon, smoke signal, something like that.
Ooh, the smoke signals would be dope. Yeah, I'd be interested in the smoke signal.
Maybe a different congregation.
Maybe no. Well, maybe a little bit. Yeah. Probably somewhere out of this country, most likely. Yeah.
Anyway, so you mentioned practice is personal, rehearsal is relational. Yeah. That is a core phrase for us. We firmly believe that practice is personal in terms of someone learning the song, right? Learning their part. That has to happen on that individual's time.
Right.
When we are at rehearsal, it's more than music. So our rehearsals are structured to help our teams not just grow musically, but also spiritually and relationally. So our rehearsals are a strict 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. We start at 7 o'clock, we end right at 8:30. At 6:55, I have a countdown that starts for rehearsal. Right, but at 6:30, 25 minutes prior to that, I already have the room set up. I've already created the atmosphere that I want. So all the lights are on. We already have music playing, right? And the AC is on or the heat is on or whatever. So I understand that a lot of our team members are volunteers and they just got done working their 9 to 5 or 8 to 4:30 or whatever, and they probably just dropped off a kid at soccer practice or dance or something like that, and they haven't even had a chance to throw down some Wendy's before rehearsal. Right? So I understand that. And there's a reason why we start at 7 now and not like 6 or 6:30 like some churches do, because we want to have them have a little bit more of an opportunity to grab some dinner before rehearsal, right?
You're catering to the convenience for them.
Absolutely. And we rehearse on Thursday nights. I know back in the day, like Wednesday night was just kind of that was the sacred church night during the week. That's the way I was born and raised. It was Sunday morning, Sunday night, Wednesday night, it's just the way it was. So we moved things to Thursday evening because, one, people are generally in a better mood on a Thursday night because tomorrow is Friday, right? Yeah. And so
Friday, fun day Friday.
It's just people a little bit more relaxed. It's a nice way to kind of like wrap up the week. The other thing it does, like from a ministry standpoint, is it gives us one extra day, one for the team to be able to practice on their own time, right? Sure. And then if the pastor throughout the week is working through his sermon and he decides, hey, I think this would be the best response song, right? It gives me an extra day to maybe like get things together, right? Mm-hmm. Now that doesn't happen every single week, but that leverage,
but Pastor Brandon's doing that to you at least once a month, right? He's out there doing that. If he's out here listening and watching, Pastor Brandon, man, you're totally changing up the way the systems and procedures work, man. Like totally, you got to get yourself fixed up, brother.
Yeah. Pastor Brandon is great. He really is, and he respects that we all have different gifts. And so it's definitely a conversation. It's not a mandate.
Yep.
Everything with Pastor Brandon. He's great guy. I love working with him. It's not for him. It's with him. It's alongside.
Right. But that's also a relational tactic too.
Absolutely.
Right?
It absolutely is.
Yeah. You got to have a good relationship building structure with all of your teammates and people. But you're saying that the rehearsal time is more about bringing the band into togetherness then working on that worship presentation, making sure that you're leading the congregation in worship, you're leading the congregation to wherever they need to be in emotional or in a physical or in a mental position with Jesus at the time they're worshiping. But you're bringing that all together. So talk to me about that for just a brief second and the systems and procedures. How do you work on, so we know you have your personal and then we know you have your rehearsal, but the question I have is about after rehearsal.
Yeah.
Where's that go? Like, a lot of times you see churches, they just don't have a stage presence, right? So what does Worship Team Coach do to help with that?
Yeah, it's great. So we like to refer to that elevated surface behind us as a platform and not a stage. Just kind of like we firmly believe that language shapes culture, so we call it platform presence.
Platform presence.
Instead of stage presence.
P squared.
On that. And so a couple of things. Let me jump to rehearsal real quick. I mentioned we go from 7 to 8:30.
I'm
sorry. Those three aspects of growing musically, relationally, and spiritually. So from 7 to 7:15, we start with a worship team devotional that's led by somebody else other than me. And there's some great resources that are like 52-week devotionals for your worship team, right? And we're starting a brand new one this week by Zach Hicks, as we gather. It's going to be awesome on there. And so it's important that it's not led by Matt every single week. I'm going to do this one because it's the first one to get things going. But so that's 7 to 7:15. And then 7:15 to 7:30, we are watching game film review. So we are watching our previous Sunday's live stream on mute. Right? And that's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for platform presence. We're looking for, do we look prepared? Do we look engaging? Do we look like we want to be up there, right? Because sometimes people have like that focus face and it looks like they're just like so mad, but they're just trying to focus.
The deer in headlights stare?
Yeah. And so then we have the platform presence award.
Or they're constantly standing like this.
Yeah, they're stand zombies. Yeah, yeah. Yep. So we look for all that. You notice that like we don't have music stands.
Yeah, you don't have music stands.
Right?
You don't even have a pulpit there.
Yeah,
man.
right. Yeah, yeah. We have a couple. We kind of use this table as the pulpit, But on Sunday morning we might have a couple iPads up, but nothing in our front row. Nothing in our front row. I mean, we're blessed with a great confidence monitor back here, but we are intentional about singing with our congregation.
Sure.
Right? Not singing to the screen, right? Or singing to the wall or anything like that, but truly singing with the congregation. So we watch that game film review and we sit here and we point out, I point out the good stuff and point out stuff that we need to improve on and that type of thing. And the team knows that we're going to watch this. And I don't understand, like sometimes I get some negative feedback of like, why would you watch that with your team? And like you're kind of putting them on blast. I'm like, if you're already on YouTube, you're putting them all on blast.
Right.
Right?
Right. I mean, it's a reasonable, logical thing to think about.
Why not get better? So then we are really good at giving the Platform Presence Award out. And so what that is just recognition for whoever had the best platform presence for that week. They get a bag of Sweetwater candy. They do. That's the award every single week. And I'm telling you, I've worked with teams that before Sunday morning, before they take the platform, they have their little huddle and they will say, I'm getting the candy this week, right? And so it's just, we promote we promote great platform presence and then we recognize it. And it's not about recognizing like, oh, they looked like they were super engaged. It was like, no, they were actually like just truly worshiping. They weren't having to think about what they were singing because they were prepared, because they personally practiced. Right. So when we come to rehearsal, we have those 7 to 7:15 to the devotional, 7:15 to 7:30 is our game film review and training. Right? So with Worship Workshop, really kind of like our online worship university for team members, is that we have a lot of topics that have just bite-sized courses in there, like 5, 6, 7 minutes long, that you can share with your team at rehearsal that have discussion guides and questions and prompts. So then the leader is just really kind of facilitating.
Yeah.
And so we watch one of those.
Well, that makes sense.
Like I own it. And we still watch it every single week.
Basically, you're like the hair club for men. Not only are you the owner and CEO, but you also are a member.
Absolutely.
I love it.
And that's really my story of how I got to where I am now with Worship Team Coach, is that I was a burnout worship leader looking for resources for my team because I had to swallow my pride and realize that I couldn't do it all myself. Looked for some resources, found John Nickel, the founder of Worship Team Coach, and got some of those resources, and then became a part of their coaching program, our Exceptional Every Sunday coaching program. Went through the program, then came on board as a coach on staff with that, and loved it, and now I own it. Well, actually, my wife owns it. She's the boss lady.
She's the CEO, owner.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. She owns it.
You're just a pretty face. You're just a pretty face.
She's all that too on there. So that's really how I came across Worship Team Coach, and that's why I continue to use it even with my team. Yeah. Because it's just so helpful. And again, it's not my voice barking at them during that training. It's still the original founder's voice and him doing all the training. So that's great. And then from 7:35, because it takes a couple minutes to get on the platform and get your in-ears in and that type of thing, from 7:35 to 8 is the only time that we're going through nuts and bolts of the music for rehearsal. Of like, okay, let's hit that intro on song 1, 2, we're gonna have the countdown hit 0, where somebody's gonna say good morning, this, boom, we're starting to click at this time. All those segues, that's from 7:35 to 8. That's it. So we're not running through the songs there. It's just, okay, cool, we got communion this week, so Pastor Brandon's going to come up and do this prayer, and then we have our segue sheet and our rehearsal maps, and those are 2 tools that like people can just download. I'll just make them available for free for anybody that's watching this.
We'll put them down in the description below.
Yeah, the segue sheet.
So you guys can see those. Matt will send them out to us. We'll put them down in the description below, and you can go visit those and download those when you want to take a look at them. I've seen them. They're actually very effective.
Yeah, so the rehearsal map and the segue sheet, the rehearsal map just keeps kind of the facilitator on time, right? But then the team also knows that we're only going to have probably like 2 to 3 minutes per song. So they can't learn the song at rehearsal. They don't have the opportunity. to learn it there.
Yeah.
I'm just checking high level like transitions, right? And using the songs like it really helps out because then you're rotating fewer songs more often. Your team they have less preparation throughout the week, so they already know these songs. We're repeating them a lot, which is great, and they're able to memorize them. So I'm able just to start and stop little transitions and segues. So then at 8 o'clock we do our full run through. Okay. Everybody who's serving on a platform on Sunday, whether it be sound, lights, whatever, they're all at rehearsal. And we have the majority of our team members, even if they're not serving on Sunday, they come to rehearsal on Thursday.
So you're not just rehearsing with your band, you're rehearsing with anybody who's in part of the service.
Everybody.
Who's engaged in service, who's actually working in the service.
Oh, yeah.
So does that even count for like the ushers and everything?
So what's interesting is that one of our team members is also an usher, and he is in charge, like when he's not on the platform, his sole role is to make sure that when the countdown starts that our house lights go down, because we literally just have a switch that's on or off. We don't have any mood lighting or anything like that.
I know that feeling.
Right?
Yeah, our church is literally, we go to the electrical box and
basically. But it's just one switch, and he knows that's his role, and so we run through all this stuff. And if there's something that's different, we go through all those logistics so people are just prepared, right, of what's going to happen from here to here to here. And the audio technicians know, okay, this mic for this person. We run through all this stuff so they get a full at-bat of Sunday morning before Sunday's here. And so that's 8 to 8:25. And it's just like, it's really awesome because Thursday night, and again, this is going to sound controversial to some people.
Another hot take from Matt Miller.
Thursday night, our rehearsal night, our midweek rehearsal, is more important for the worship team than it is on Sunday morning.
Well, I don't think that's too much of a hot take.
Right? But I say that in terms of on Thursday night, when we're rehearsing in a circle,
okay,
right? It's us, right? And it's our real us.
Yeah.
On that, and that's where we're able to. It's almost like our own individual life group, right? And we've kind of set that tone that people can be open, and people can cry. People can have a moment. We know that on Sunday morning that sometimes we have to recognize that if we get over emotional with something, that can actually sometimes become a distraction to the congregation. Right. And so we have to create the environments where we're able to let them have those moments. Right. Because if I'm crying through a song that I'm supposed to be leading vocally the whole time, right, then it becomes a distraction, right?
A little bit.
There's nothing wrong with just having like a moment.
I've seen those moments, though, man.
Right?
It's okay to get a little choked up,
and here and there. But if somebody's crying for 3.5 minutes on something when they're the only lead vocalist,
keeping your composure,
right?
Is important.
And so we're not trying to like bury any of that, but we're just trying to be conscious of the fact that like our purpose is to not be a distraction, and it's really to lead the congregation. We want to grab attention to then immediately be able to give it off of us, right? But if we're not prepared, if we don't look squared away, then we become a distraction.
Yeah.
Right, on there. So that's 8 to 8:25. That's when we do our full run through with everything. And at 8:25, we circle up and we pray. So I want to be respectful of people's time. That we're going to start on time. We're going to end on time every time. Now, when we get to the prayer time, we have the 5-minute slot. But if somebody's pouring their heart out, I'm not cutting them off.
Right.
But what it does do is like if we get to 8:30 and we're still in the middle of a song, that song is done. I stop the click. We're done. We're praying. Because I know some people have babysitters at their kids, or I know some people, like their spouse had to put down 3 kids by themselves and bathe them and feed them and all that type of stuff, and they need to get home so they can relieve them, so to speak, right? I want to be respectful of their time. So when we have a condensed time to actually rehearse, people have to become so prepared. So then we're just putting the puzzle pieces together.
Yeah.
That's how you're able to have a successful team.
Wow. So the effectiveness then comes from just a repetitiousness of learning that and continuously improving upon that. And the game day footage thing was a pretty dope
game
experience.
film review. That's what we do.
I like that. So give me, because we know that there's, as we get ready to kind of land this plane down, coming from the 30,000 feet down, there's some things that I know that there's some other organizations or other companies or other platforms that do this kind of thing. So outside of obviously, Worship Team Coach being my friend, or being friends of BoxCast, right? Why would someone want to buy into Worship Team Coach right now? Like, what is the it factor for them?
Yeah, we are masters of the mundane. I'll say that. We really are when it comes to worship ministry. We are not the company for you if your sole purpose is to learn how to integrate multi-tracks with ProPresenter in your lighting and that type of thing. Like, can we do that? Yeah, but that's not our forte. Our forte is building people, right? Building great teams so that you can have great Sundays, right? Exceptional Sundays is what we like to call them. So for those people who don't have really great systems, who when someone is interested in joining the team, they don't know where to start, or they have to change it every time somebody goes through the process, or they don't have their visions actually written down. They don't have their goals. They don't know what their processes really are. It's just all in somebody's head. If somebody is listening to this and Sunday can't happen without them, then that's who they need to call us.
Yeah, there's a lot of churches that are in that boat.
On that. So we really focus on being 3 deep, like I mentioned earlier, in every single role. And that's not just like, hey, I've got 3 drummers and I've got 3 acoustic guitarists. It's, hey, do you have 3 people that can open up a gathering? Do you have 3 people that can actually welcome people, invite them to stand? Do you have 3 people that can do that confidently? Do you have 3 people that can pray at the end of maybe kind of the worship, the music time of, because it's all Sunday morning is worship. It's just, singing that part. How many people can do that? How many people can run a rehearsal? Mm-hmm. How many people can arrange a chart? How many people can send out all the planning center stuff? Just being 3 deep in every single spot. Right. So it's not, we're not trying to delegate to the point that where the worship leader doesn't have to do anything. That's not the point. We're trying to raise up other people. Right. Because there might be another church that needs to be planted in the area, right? Or what happens when somebody gets sick? And I'll kind of close with this. It really hit home personally for Matt at the fall. Right.
So that was right around the time we were doing our podcast together. Yeah.
So in August of 23, I went into my eye doctor to get new contacts because I was out of contacts on that, and had to do the regular eye exam. And my eye doctor said, "Hey, there's something on your eye. We need to get checked out a little bit further. It shouldn't be an issue. Like 99% of the time, it's not an issue. So go and get it checked out." And this was the 1%. So ended finding out that I have B-cell lymphoma. It's a blood cancer. And this cancer, like all the cells decided to camp out in my eyeball.
Oh, great.
Right?
Okay.
And so I had to go through all the tests, all the PET scans, the CAT scans, all that stuff. At that time, I was 34, and we have a 4-year-old, and my wife and I have been married almost 8 years now. And you get hit with, oh, you have cancer. Mm-hmm. And so I went through 16 rounds of radiation, and everything's fine now on that. But it hit home of like, because I've been coaching people with like this all the time, that, hey, if something were to happen to you, and we don't wish that on you, but if something were to happen to you, can Sunday still happen without you? Well, and if you say no, then that's your fault.
Okay.
Right,
yeah.
that you're not developing other people to be able to do that. Right. And so that was just another like just personal reminder of like, it can't look like it's all about Matt. And Matt has to take more time to develop other people to be able to do this, because it's faster if I just do it. Yeah. It just is, right? Yeah. Like that's what we do, right? That's why they hire us,
that's what everybody does.
Yeah. And so we want to develop others on that, so it truly does look like a team, and again, not just about 1 or 2 people. But when the cancer stuff happened, it really reminded me that I am not in control of this, and that as worship team members, we have to hold the worship team with open hands and not handcuffs, right? That it is a gift, and there will be someday where we get to pass the gift on to somebody else.
Yeah.
And so how is that exchange going to go?
Yeah.
Right? Because if we have the handcuffs when it's supposed to be an awesome present, a gift, right, that somebody can't buy, they really just giving to somebody. If we're not able to do that, then we have failed our church. And so that's just my constant mindset is, what am I doing right now that somebody else knows how to do it? And if somebody else doesn't know how to do it, then that needs to be my job right now. And so you're gonna have to be okay with having some Sundays that are just base hit Sundays.
Yeah.
Instead of home run Sundays, right? Because when you develop, Sunday after Sunday after Sunday, and those are base hits and base hits and base hits, right? It's going to be so much better than having Sundays that just tank, and then Easter or Christmas Eve comes around and it's a home run service, right? And your teams burn out. They don't want to come back the next Sunday. Their families now hate you because you had all these extra rehearsals and they weren't able to do their Christmas party, all this other stuff. So when we have base hit after base hit after base hit, we're going to win some games.
Yeah.
Right? And we're going to develop some other people. They got to get more at-bats. And so we got to be 3 deep in every single role, because if we're not, again, that's the whole reason our company exists. Ephesians 4, 11 and 12, right? Synopsis, our role as ministry leaders is to equip the saints to do the work of ministry.
Right.
And if we're not doing that, we're failing them.
Wow. Well, then you've heard it here now, and you've seen Matt. Matt says he can do it faster. So, but in all things, in all the good scopes of everything, Matt, give us the 411 on where you're at. What new thing do you have coming that you would like to present to the people? I know you guys have this summer, which when this airs, it'll already have ended. But I know this summer you've got your guys' seminars coming out for the summertime. What do you have coming up in the fall? like how can people find you? What is the new promotion that you're running to help get people on board?
Yeah.
Tell the people what's going on.
Yeah, first of all, it's an honor to be able to meet with you guys again, and I appreciate all just the extra stuff that you've done for us, man.
Yeah,
really
no, it's our pleasure, dude.
As a bro.
It's all bro, brother. Yeah. It's all bro.
So you can find us at WorshipTeamCoach.com as well as WorshipWorkshop.com. We're going through, like Gary mentioned, we're going through our summer series right now where we have monthly workshops of 31 ways to help your worship team grow throughout the summer, when you still have to jump the hurdles of having less people on the platform, less people in your room, and juggling everybody's vacation schedule, and then trying to schedule your own vacation, those types of things, how to really help the team grow throughout this time of maybe less people in the room and less people on the platform. For that, so that's for the summer. And so into the fall, we'll be launching our enrollment for our one-to-one coaching, right? Our exceptional every Sunday coaching. That's when that one's going to kick off again. We just kind of wrapped up our spring and now we're into our summer season for that. So we'll be enrolling for our fall seasons on that. It's a year-long commitment, but we customize the coaching to exactly what you need. And it is a 4-figure investment, just to give everybody a heads up on that. We have awesome testimonies and awesome just reviews of people who have been through the program. And kind of the one that hits home for me is that, again, I was that guy.
Yeah.
I was that guy looking for some coaching and understanding that it can't all be about Matt. And that I have to develop other people, and I can't do that by myself.
Right.
And that everybody needs a coach. And so in the fall, we're going to do a lot more of our on-site, in-person trainings, like with the team. And so that's what I would say is that the slots are going to be filling up quickly throughout this. It usually does right away on there. So go to WorshipTeamCoach.com and click on the link to get an exceptional every Sunday assessment. And it's just a quick 15-minute phone call with me, and we go through what you guys are looking for, where things are at now, where you want them to be in the future, and then what hurdles are going to be kind of in the way. And again, we customize it for you on there, and we really just want to promote developing other leaders, so you don't have to, like I mentioned, you don't have to farm out some rock star worship leader that might not have your church's DNA. So for some churches that works, and I'm not, and I've been a part of those recruiting companies in the past, and they're not bad people or anything like that, but sometimes people take 2 years to find the guy, right, or the girl, and then 6 months down the road it doesn't work out, right? So we want to develop people, not just rock stars.
Right, absolutely. And again, check out the description down below for the free tools that Matt is going to offer out to all of our viewers and subscribers, and we'd love to see you come on board and check that out. Again, Matt, dude, thanks for your time, man.
Bro.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it, and if we could ever do anything more for you, let us know. All right?
Absolutely.
Excellent, man.
Get the BoxCast. It's the easiest way to stream. Just get it.
Yeah. Look out for Matt some more content later as we share stuff from him on our socials, and we just do more involvement with Matt and Worship Team Coach. But again, it's always a pleasure. Just remember to check out BoxCast.com if you're interested in live streaming services. We offer an amazing quality encoder. The new Spark encoder has been out for a bit, and it is on fire. It's a beautiful piece of that. And if you're looking for any cool other social aspects, we have some social media tools that we offer as well, and sites. Just talk with one of our customer service representatives. They'll take care of you guys, no problem. And again, as always, remember, happy streaming.